Today's Philadelphia Eagles now is presented by Roan. The Birds have the freshest set of jerseys in the NFL. If you want the freshest line of clothes, Roan has you covered. I'm wearing their commuter polo right now. See for yourself at roan.com/chatsports. And when you use that link, you get to save some money and look fresh in the process. On the show today, full list of Eagles roster moves up to this point going into Tuesday's deadline, in which all 32 teams across the NFL have to trim those rosters down to 53 players. By my count, the Eagles right now are down to 70 players following Monday's practice. Also on the show, my final Eagles roster projection. Before we take a look at all of this, thank you, Bird Gang, for supporting the show. We just surpassed 49,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, do so right now for daily Eagles talk. And I want your feedback. I want your creative ideas down in the comment section right now. What should we do right here on the show to celebrate 50,000 subscribers? As I said, get creative here. And if somebody comes up with a really good idea, you know we're going to give you a shout out here on the show. Eagles cut so far, Howie Roseman in this front office as well as this coaching staff. They've been extremely busy over the last couple of days, and we've covered basically all of these roster moves so far here on the show, but it's different to get it visually here and then take a look at what this means for Philadelphia moving forward. And we just want to pass along all of the roster moves in total that the Eagles have so far made. So these players have all been released. Offensive lineman Josh Andrews, tight end Dan Arnold, wide receiver Deon Cain, tackle Dennis Kelly, center Cameron Tom, tackle Brett Toth, linebacker Quinton Bell, quarterback Ian Book, running back Kennedy Brooks, and defensive lineman Robert Cooper. That's not it. I said this Eagles front office, they've been busy. Wide receiver Jadon Haselwood has been let go. So too has Tyree Jackson, wide receiver Johnny King, linebacker Tyreek Maddox-Williams, offensive lineman Tyrese Robinson, defensive lineman Olive Sagapolu, defensive lineman Caleb Saunders, wide receiver Freddie Swain, defensive tackle Marvin Wilson, and the Eagles also made a roster move over the weekend to clear up a roster spot. They put Roderick Johnson on IR. So as of right now, the Philadelphia Eagles have officially made 19 cuts for this roster, and by my count, my calculation, the Eagles are now down to 70 players. Now, there's 17 more moves that they have to make in order to get this team down to 53 players. Derek Barnett, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, basically requested a trade because he wants to play more elsewhere. So that's another roster move that could take place. And keep in mind that when we get to that deadline on Tuesday of 4 o'clock Eastern, the Eagles might have that initial 53-man roster set. That does not mean that all of those players are going to be bona fide players for the Eagles roster here in 2023. It just means that the Eagles have initially cut that roster down to 53 players, but of course, they want to scour the waiver wire. They want to scour what other teams have done across the NFL because another organization might let go of a player that the Eagles feel as though could help their football team more so than a player that is set to make that 53-man roster. So as of right now, those are all the Eagles roster moves that have taken place up to this point, as it's been a really busy tenure and a really busy time here for Philadelphia, this front office, this coaching staff, and it's going to continue to be a very busy 24-plus hours for this organization as well, but all 32 clubs across the league are also in that same spot. And make sure you subscribe to the show, because anytime the Eagles make a move, we dissect it here on the program, just as I did from the home studio all throughout the weekend with a couple of videos, so hit that sub button right now. Coming up next, my final Philadelphia Eagles roster projection before Tuesday's cuts. I'm feeling really confident, kind of like how Bryce Harper is confident right now anytime he takes the plate, because he's batting damn near 400 in the month of August. I'm going to knock it out of the park with this Eagles roster projection. First, though, I told you off the rip about our presenting sponsor, Roan. I'm wearing their commuter polo today. The Eagles, as I said, have the freshest set of jerseys in the NFL. If you want the freshest line of clothes, look no further than Roan's commuter collection, which has the most comfortable, breathable, flexible set of products known to man, and here's why. They help you get ready for any occasion with the Commuter Collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Roan Commuter Collection. It's time to feel confident without the hassle. And what I love about these shirts, stretchy fabric, durable fabric, but I make the investment in high-quality clothing knowing that with their wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the products. You hang it up, and after a couple of days, those wrinkles go away. So what that allows you to do, avoid the hassle of having to go to the dry cleaner and putting money toward that. It's roan.com/chatsports. You plug in that link for 20% off your entire order. We're going to put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. You can look dapper out on a date night, kicking it with the homies, on the golf course, or hosting shows here at Chat Sports. At least I hope I look dapper. I feel dapper in this Roan Commuter Polo. Once again, link is down below. All right, as for what we're getting into next, final Philadelphia Eagles roster projection before Tuesday's cuts. Let's begin here with the obvious position to start off with. That is that quarterback position. And the numbers on the screen, by the way, they identify all 53 roster spots here, just to let you all know. Just trying to inform you as much as possible. So I think the Eagles are going to go with 3 quarterbacks on the opening 53, Jalen Hurts, Marcus Mariota, as well as Tanner McKee. Marcus Mariota did not perform well in training camp or in the preseason. $5 million in guaranteed money is tough to eat. I think that Tanner McKee displayed that at some point, maybe even this year, he could be the backup to Hurts. But as of right now, not a ton of better options out there for quarterbacks who are going to get released, like P.J. Walker, the Chicago Bears, is probably the best available backup right now that was let go by a team. And is he that much better than Marcus Mariota? He might be, honestly. Temple University's zone across the bridge in New Jersey, but these are the quarterbacks that I think Howie and this coaching staff are comfortable with going into 53-man roster cutdown day. To running back now, I think the Eagles go with 4 here, and it's the players here to my right. Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift, Rashaad Penny, Boston Scott. You might not have that bell cow 3-down back, but I love the combination and the mixture of talent here and the different versatility that you have. Gainwell can run in between the tackles and get out to the edge, and he can catch the football. DeAndre Swift, probably the most explosive and elusive back who can do a lot of those same things as Gainwell. You get your physical back, Rashaad Penny, who I think could be in that LeGarrette Blount 2017 role. And then Boston Scott, he can pretty much do everything, an underrated short yardage back because he's so short, ducks behind that massive offensive line, and he keeps the chains moving. Wide receivers now. I'm going to go with 5 here, and I do think that Britton Covey is the final wide receiver to make this team. You can throw in Greg Ward, Joseph Nagata with that fumble in the preseason finale, I think worked his way off the 53-man roster. A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith. They could be better this year as compared to last year. That's how much trust I have in them as a wide receiver duo. They love the craft. They love the grind. They love the hustle, and they're premier players in this league. Quez Watkins is your vertical deep threat. Olamide Zaccheaus can return punts a little bit and some kicks. So I'm interested to see if he does a little bit of that or if it's just for Britton Covey. I just think this coaching staff really likes what Covey can do. 3 tight ends for me, Dallas Goedert, Jack Stoll, and Grant Calcaterra. They already released Tyree Jackson. They already released Dan Arnold. And they're not going to keep Brady Russell, I don't believe. Maybe he comes back to the practice squad. One of the best all-around tight ends in the NFL. Y'all crack me up, man. I said this on the show over the weekend. I was like, Dallas Goedert is the second best all-around tight end in the NFL behind George Kittle. And everybody was like, you're a clown, bro. Are you high? You're not talking about Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is a receiving tight end. He does not block. Therefore, he is not an all-around blocking and pass-catching tight end. When it comes down to blocking and pass-catching, it's Kittle and Goedert atop the league, in my opinion. Hope I could clear that up for you. Goedert, Jack Stoll, Grant Calcaterra, the 3 tight ends that make the 53. I'm going 9 offensive linemen here for Philadelphia, a position group, obviously, that they put a lot of importance and emphasis into, and it's a position group that is a little bit better as far as the depth as compared to what I thought it might be going into training camp. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelce, Cam Jurgens, and Lane Johnson, they're your starting 5 up front. And then the backups. Tyler Steen has emerged as a kind of swing backup offensive tackle who can also play guard. Love that versatility for him moving forward. Jack Driscoll, also that swing tackle variety. Sua Opeta, backup interior offensive lineman. You're a little bit thin as far as your backup interior offensive linemen go, but keep in mind that Cam Jurgens can fill in at center if Jason Kelce were to get hurt. And then the Eagles recently signed Fred Johnson to a 2-year deal just a couple of days ago. So again, 9 total offensive linemen there for Philadelphia. We shift over to the defensive side of the football. The Eagles are so deep along the defensive line. Might be the deepest team in the trenches on the defensive side of the football in the NFL. Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Marlon Tupulutu, Kentavious Street, Moro Ajomo. I'm going to go with 7 defensive tackles to make this team. I think it's really important to keep these guys fresh and keep them rotating all throughout the season to keep them right for the playoffs, and you're going to be able to do that with the defensive tackle depth. That's just defensive tackle. And then we shift over to defensive end outside linebacker because Sean Desai will kind of run a 4-3-3-4 hybrid scheme just because he's a Vic Fangio disciple. Fangio has done that, but also because of the Eagles' personnel. Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat are traditional 4-3 defensive ends. Hassan Reddick is your traditional pass-rushing stand-up outside linebacker. So Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, Derek Barnett, and Patrick Johnson, your defensive ends and linebackers who make this team. But is Derek Barnett going to be a part of this team for the long haul? He might not be. I put this up on our YouTube Shorts page. Those are 1-minute TikTok-style videos, so make sure you just go out and watch that content, bold opinions, news updates, bunch of other different stuff. But I put this up as a YouTube short, and we'll relay the news here that Derek Barnett, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, through his agent Drew Rosenhaus, is gauging the market for the potential to play more elsewhere per sources. Philly plans to keep Barnett, but understands a deep pass rush roster limits his playing time. The 2017 first-round pick should have trade value. Couple of thoughts here. So the Eagles had 70 sacks last year, the most since the 1980s in the NFL without Derek Barnett. He only played 1 game because he tore his ACL week 1 against the Detroit Lions. They can escape without Derek Barnett on this roster. They're also so deep at defensive end and outside linebacker. Also, because it's a position of importance and because other teams don't have so much depth at this spot, and they might be in need of a good defensive end who's shown that he is fully capable of getting after the quarterback with sacks, quarterback hits, and quarterback pressures. He's done that to a degree that's been on par his first 6 years as compared to Brandon Graham's. We've talked about those numbers here on the show, where I think the Eagles might be able to get some pretty good draft compensation back for Derek Barnett. Hasn't lived up to the expectations of being that first-round pick in 2017, but is a pretty solid player at a very important position. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that situation. Inside linebackers, I'm only going 3 here, and part of the reason is nobody else has earned a roster spot here. Nicholas Morrow had that really good play against the run in the preseason finale. He did have to play, so that goes to show you that his roster spot not fully determined, but other than that, kind of struggled throughout training camp and in the preseason. And I also think that Sean Desai, because they're going to use outside linebackers like Nolan Smith and Patrick Johnson, maybe a little bit in coverage, and they can pass the billing there, that can afford the Eagles to go with 3 inside linebackers. And I think the Eagles are going to go cornerback heavy here, and they're going to have a lot of nickel cornerback heavy personnel packages that allows you to get away with only having 3 inside linebackers on this team. So Nakobe Dean, Zach Cunningham, Christian Ellis, they make it. Nicholas Morrow does not. But then the Eagles go heavy at cornerback here with 6 total on the outside. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox, your starters there on the outside and in the slot. Josh Joby, Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks, they're your backup corners. Look, Eli Ricks was one of the highest graded cornerbacks in all of football throughout the preseason. And we said it live. And I also tweeted out some videos on my Twitter page at Chase_Senior. Eli Ricks is long. He's lanky. He was guarding Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman Jr., the top 2 wide receivers for the Colts in that preseason game. And he had sticky coverage on those guys. Instincts for pass breakups and interceptions. He's simply too good at a position that the Eagles value too much for him to not make this team. Mario Goodrich, Mekhi Garner, hopefully they can come back on the practice squad. What's also interesting here and also unique is sometimes when a team goes with 4 safeties. But because the Eagles are a little bit unsure who's going to start opposite of Reed Blankenship, and because they have solid to not great players, I think they go with 4 safeties here because they're comfortable with all these players. And Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, and Terrell Edmonds, they can play in the box. So that gives you versatility on the defensive side of the football as well. Justin Evans, can play on special teams a little bit, hopefully, and he could be a backup safety. Sidney Brown was one of the highest graded safeties in the preseason among all players at that position throughout the preseason. Reed Blankenship is going to start, and it's looking like he could be a stud. Outside of that, you're not sure who's going to be his running mate at that other safety position, so Eagles go with 4 here. And then your specialist, Jake Elliott, how about what he did the other night in that preseason finale? A couple of long boots, as we talked about on our winners and losers segment. Rick Lovato will be the long snapper. Aaron Sipos is not good. Can we just come to that realization that Aaron Sipos is not good? I put a question mark here because some punter has to make the team. Is it going to be Sipos or somebody else? I think the Eagles should look at Matt Araiza. I've continued to say that. He is a legitimate weapon who can help you out tremendously by flipping the field, and I would go after him. I'd be aggressive in doing so because he's so much better than Sipos. But as of right now, I have to go with the punter, and the punter that makes the 53 for me is going to be Sipos. Say it with me here before we hop on out of here. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Eagles football is almost back, ladies and gentlemen. Are you pumped up? I'm pumped up. Can't wait to get after it, man. Our regular season watch parties are going to be lit. Our coverage is going to continue to dominate, so make sure you hit that sub button. Turn on those notifications. Therefore, anytime we put out a video, anytime we go live, you'll stay in the know and you'll be notified. Have a fantastic Monday, and we'll catch you back here soon if the Eagles make some more moves.